So Town of Norfolk Board of Health meeting, November 29th, 2022. It is a Zoom virtual meeting. In accordance with the governor's order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law related to the 2020 novel coronavirus outbreak emergency, the November 29th, 2022 at 7 p.m. public meeting of the Norfolk Board of Health shall be physically closed to the public to avoid group congregation. Alternative public access to the meeting shall be utilizing the Zoom virtual meeting software. This application will also allow users to view the meeting and send comments or questions to the chair via chat function. Submitted text comments/questions may be read into the record at the appropriate points in the meeting if they're in line with the town's public comment policy. The meeting will be recorded for future rebroadcast by Norfolk Community Television. All the information on the Zoom link is on the webpage. And there's also a YouTube, which is youtube.com/Norfolk Cable, which will have it. So, good evening, everybody. So why don't we start with we have 3 public hearings today. So why don't we start with the first one, which is 16 Berkshire Street, request for local upgrade approval, request to allow more than 3 feet of cover over the septic tank and pump chamber as allowed by DEP policy, with Bill Gottwald with DMG Associates.
And we just have the variance preamble.
All right, is that? I don't know if you sent that to me.
It was in the packet, but
It was in the packet. Okay, it must be down the bottom.
Yeah, I can always read it if you would like.
Is it in last month's preamble too?
Yep, same. It'll be the same one. Just insert 16 Berkshire Street.
All right, just give me a moment to. Oh. A variance hearing from the Board of Health Regulations is called to order for 16 Berkshire Street. It is my duty to inform you that you will have to provide the Board of Health with data to support your request for a waiver of the Board of Health requirements, and that if you do not receive the waiver, it will do you manifest injustice. You will also have to show that what you intend to do is environmentally acceptable. Right. You're on mute, sir.
How about now?
Perfect.
Okay, sorry about that.
Not a
Okay,
problem.
so my name's Bill Gottwald. This a septic system repair. The house was built late mid-90s. It's probably about 25 years old. So the septic system failed. For whatever reason, when it was built, it was put relatively deep into the ground. So the piping coming out of the house is deep. The basement has been finished, so it'd be pretty difficult to raise the plumbing. And in this particular case, because the house slopes from the street, the property slopes from the street down to the house, the leaching area is up higher anyways. So it's going to need a pump system. So Title V doesn't allow greater than, well, it does with the variance, greater than 3 feet of cover over any component. So that the pump tank and the septic tank, based on the plumbing coming out of the house now, will have about 4 feet of cover over it. So I'm proposing just to put in the new tanks. There'll be H20 tanks, which will be more than enough to handle the additional weight on it. And then it will pump up to the new leaching area. So that we're just looking for a waiver to allow greater than 3 feet of cover over these tanks. And that's about it.
Matt, do you have any comments?
Just that it is like Mr. Gottwald had said, it's a tough site. And the existing system certainly exceeds the 3 foot cover, just with the amount of fill going up to the street. So the new system, obviously with the pump, excuse me, will be installed, with no more than 3 feet of cover. But because of that plumbing coming out of the house, it does need about 4 feet over the tank and pump chamber. It is proposed with the H20, which is required with the greater than 3 feet. So no, I have no issues.
See, Liz is joining us.
She is, yep.
Good evening, Liz. We just started with the variance for 16 Berkshire. It was presented and Matt does not have any issues with it. I don't know, Andy, if you have any comments or questions?
The only question I have is on the drawing. There's note number 10 on the right-hand side. It identifies a reserve area, but the plan doesn't show a reserve area. Is that just a general comment?
Yeah, that's a general comment. You don't really need a reserve since this is considered repair, a reserve area isn't required.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of what I
just
thought,
new
but
construction.
okay, that's kind of what I thought, but I just had to ask. So
No problem.
okay, no, that's Cheryl. I have no comments.
Liz, I know you're just joining. I don't know if you have any comments from the review earlier.
No, I reviewed it. I didn't really have anything.
Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the variance for 16 Berkshire Street?
Sure, I'll make a motion to accept the variance for the septic system repair at 16 Berkshire Street.
I'll second the motion.
Any further comment, questions, discussion? No. All in favor?
Andy Bakunowski, aye.
Liz Gephardt, aye.
Cheryl Dunnington, aye. The motion's passed. All right, we have the next one.
Thank you. Yeah, we're just gonna wait a few more minutes for that. I should have scheduled them a little closer together. I wasn't.
Oh, okay, do we have somebody else coming or?
Nope, it's Bill. It's gonna be Bill again, but maybe we can just do a couple of
Oh, yeah, because we have to
regular.
do the time.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can't open it before 7:15, so.
All right. What's probably the easiest thing?
Meeting minutes?
Yes, review and approval of the meeting minutes.
Yep.
I have no comments on the meeting minutes other than the fact I failed to complete the letter I said I would get to you before this meeting, but we'll talk about that in the update for Buckley and Mann because there's a meeting scheduled in 2 weeks. So when that started getting tossed around by Rich, I figured it might just be better to wait because we might have more information. So, but that's it. But I have no comments and I can make a motion to approve it unless Liz has comments.
I did not have any comments, no.
Okay. So motion to approve the meeting minutes from 10/25/22.
I second the motion.
Any further discussion? No. All in favor?
Andy Bakunowski, aye.
Liz Gephardt, aye.
Cheryl Dunnington, aye. All right, that killed a whole minute. So how about, why don't we do a quick, how about the updates to the tobacco sales regulation? We can kill a little bit of time with that.
Right, I know you guys had tossed around, or we had discussed at the last meeting to impose a suspension somewhere between 1 and 10 days, I think it was. I think you all kind of had agreed upon 3 days. So I did draft up a motion that I thought would be appropriate for that, if you are all willing to or in favor of doing that suspension for the first violation for a sale of tobacco to a minor under the age of 21. So which is,
yeah, looking in
which I
the
think
packet,
we're
it's
keeping-
D. It's 665.040 requirements for the establishment. And it looks like we added D, which is the sale of tobacco product by a retail establishment to a person younger than 21 years old shall result in the retail establishment being prohibited from selling tobacco products for up to 30 consecutive days. So we're going to change that to 3 days. Is that what we're doing, Betsy? Is that section?
I think that's what you got, what you all had discussed at the
Yeah, that's
last
what I'm
meeting.
going to.
Yep.
All right.
It was, yeah, somewhere between 1 and 10. I think you thought that 3 was appropriate.
Yes. So I know you had written up something. I'm just trying to find the what you had stated. Here we go. So actually, I'll make the motion to approve a 3-day suspension for the first violation only if the violation is a sale to a minor under the age of 21, according to 105 CMR section 665.040.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Andy Bakunowski, aye.
Liz Gephardt, aye.
Cheryl Dunnington, aye. Okay.
We have
Motion's
4 more
passed.
minutes.
So our next meeting is set for the 19th of December, is that correct?
Right, which is a Monday. I think we decided to
Yeah.
reschedule it to a Monday to accommodate everybody's schedules, I think, that week.
Perfect.
So, and then, yeah, rather than meeting on the week of school vacation, so.
Mhm.
And we get 3 more minutes. So Matt, do you want to give us an update on the well regs? Because I'm pretty sure that there isn't much of an update as of yet.
I see Matt. Oh, he's
wait.
back on.
Oh, there he is.
Sorry. Dealing with my injured dog here. Sure. I don't have any written updates per se to review further. At our health officers conference, there was a pretty good session regarding well quality testing standards specifically for PFAS. And there's supposed to be standards set hopefully by the spring from the EPA, which will then be reviewed by Mass DEP and DPH, and hopefully the state will set standards, and then it would be an appropriate time for the towns to review, and if they want to go stricter, obviously we can be less strict. So my recommendation would be to just sit tight for a few months instead of getting a whole regulation together on at least that side with the standards for testing. Just have to go back and redo them again if we needed to. So and then as far as the irrigation wells, I haven't had a chance to look further into some of the comments yet at this point, but we can work on it through the winter. Again, certainly no rush, but that's the update for the moment.
I figure I'll just keep that on the agenda as a continuing discussion item. So as a reminder.
Perfect. Thank you.
Sure. We're almost. All right, just another minute and we can
Just
get
one
started
minute.
on our next variance hearing.
Right.
All right, we're all set to get going.
Awesome. So a variance hearing from the Board of Health Regulations is called to order for 21 Berkshire Street. It is my duty to inform you that you will have to provide the Board of Health with data to support your request for a waiver of Board of Health requirements, and that if you do not receive the waiver, it will do you manifest injustice. You will also have to show that what you intend to do is environmentally acceptable.
All right, well, Bill again.
Okay, Bill again here. Let's see if I can make this one faster than the last one. This house is directly across the street from the number 16. And for whatever reason, 2 different people that I do work for each got one of these jobs. So I end up doing both about the same time. Same situation, similar situation. The houses were built about the same time. The new system, both of them is going to be the same, a tank, a pump chamber, and a same size leaching field. But in this particular case, the front yard where we dug the test pits had a lot of fill. In fact, one test pit, I believe, was 6 feet of fill, and the other one was 8 feet before we actually hit the gravel. So that's really too deep to go down in a hole to do a perk test. I mean, there's a good chance the sides will cave in either on you or in your hole. So normally anything over maybe 5 feet or so, you just do a sieve analysis. So that's what we're asking a waiver for, is to, instead of doing the perk test, do a sieve analysis. And it came back as a class 1 soil. I think it was 88% sand. And we did do the perk across the street. I know it was far away, but it just shows that it's all pretty much consistent. So I'm asking for a waiver to allow the perk test, the sieve analysis instead of the perk test.
Matt, any comments?
Similar to what Mr. Gottwald had said, and across the street, just a huge amount of cover over naturally occurring material, and it definitely was not safe to go down and do a perk. The material itself was even just caving in as we were digging. So I have no issues with using the sieve analysis.
Andy, Liz, any comments?
None for me.
None for me either.
All right. Do I have a motion to accept the variance for 21 Berkshire?
I'll make a motion to accept the variance for 21 Berkshire for the septic system replacement.
I'll second the motion.
Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Andy Vakanowski, aye.
Liz Gephardt, aye.
Cheryl Dennington, aye. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thanks, Bill.
All right, so we now have 13 minutes before our next one at 7:30.
Next time I'll
And-
schedule them a little bit closer together.
Yeah. So why don't we, we'll put Andy on the hot seat and you can choose which one you would like to discuss in this time period.
So I'll do Southwood Hospital, probably just because this is going to be, I think, probably a little bit of ramping up more than anything else. The last time I mentioned there was a 600-page report that was submitted. I have read through probably 3/4 of it. I still need to wrap my head around it. The report does have a few things that I think we're probably have to talk about probably after the first of the year. The first one deals with the radiation that was found. Interestingly enough, is that when the evidence of radiation was found on site, the DEP and Department of Public Health identified it as being elevated or a concern for people to be out there. And the DEP took responsibility for taking the assessment or continuing assessment out there, which was then undertaken by GFI and their consultants. Interesting thing is that the report now indicates that these are just background levels, which doesn't make sense. I mean, you can't, but the thing is that they're not listing what the background standards are. So that's a deficiency in the report. That's going to have to be looked at. Like I said, I haven't gone all the way through everything. I have not looked through the hundreds of pages of test data yet. I've looked at the summary tables and have highlighted some things, but I still need some time to more digest this, all this information. Another thing that's a little bit disconcerting about the report too is that some of the information that was provided to GFI and the consultants that they're dismissing as unsubstantiated. There's reports that were copied, included in some of the comments to that report and to the phase 2 work, which they're dismissing without saying why they're dismissing it. Of note, most notable is there's actually a Board of Health meeting minutes that were quoted verbatim and identified that some of the sludge waste that was removed from the filter beds was actually buried on site. Yet the consultant's saying that this is unsubstantiated, even though hospital staff is saying that this is what they did, and this was about 20 years ago. So there's some things that have to get tied in there, but from the perspective, I guess, from the Board of Health's position, should the Board of Health be thinking about requiring signage and site security around these areas where the radiation is, once we get that discrepancy of the background level versus the elevated levels straightened out as to and who actually is taking jurisdiction over this. Because right now it's supposed to be the DEP based on previous correspondence, but normally radiation is handled by the Department of Public Health, and they have their appropriate program. So I'm not sure if we're having a disconnect here or a widening rift between two agencies, or really what's going on. So so that's something we'll have to look at. There's still work that has to be done out there. I mean, I usually go drive by the site once a week, sometimes twice a week, depending upon, you know, where my travels are taking me. I haven't seen any activity out there in a while. I did notice though that one of the buildings was tagged up on top of the building. One of the staircases or elevator shafts. There's some new graffiti that I noticed from the road. So obviously site security is still an issue. So I think that's the best I can give you without going into some really boring details.
All right. We've got a few more minutes, so maybe some little bit of Buckley Man. We can do part one, and if need to, we can continue after.
Buckley Man, actually, I had committed the last meeting to, you know, pull a letter together for the board to review, to request, you know, the DEP sort of, you know, provide an update. And shortly after that meeting, Rich McCarthy had sent out an email talking about a meeting to meet with you know, some of the group of some people of the public involvement plan group for that site, in addition to the new town administrator and assistant town administrator. And looking at what we're talking about, there's the Weston Sampson report that I think we've seen and we've read. And that identifies sort of a course of action, but it doesn't really give us what the, you know, what the next solid step is. It sort of talks conceptually. And I think that rather than be premature and send a letter to DEP, we may get some more information, because at this point, I have no idea what's, you know, what the town has received in terms of prospective plans, other than Rich did say that the last interested party has backed out of the deal. So now they're back to square one. Why they backed out, I have no idea. I don't even know who the company is or who the firm was, but you know, this is a difficult site, as well as the Southwood property in terms of assessment. But you know, at least work is being done at Southwood, and you know, the Buckley and Man site has to be handled with kid gloves until they can get a better understanding of what they need to do out there. But as of right now, we're scheduled for a meeting on December 19th, sometime after 3 o'clock. With Rich and the town administrator, assistant town administrator, and a few of the people from the PIP group, and there were a couple other people on there as well that I wasn't quite sure exactly their relationship. But you know, if it's the more the merrier, I guess we can deal with that. I can, if anybody has any questions or has any thoughts on something that they want to find out about, just let me know, and I can pass it on or bring that up during the meeting. So. Okay.
It's too bad everything's kind of stagnated with both of those, although you said there is work going on at Southwood, which is a positive thing. Yeah.
And you know, the bottom line, Southwood is going to, I mean, you know, they've got schedules out to 2024 and to 2027. I mean, you're talking, you know, a while to get this going. You know, there's still areas that haven't been assessed on the property either. As you know, as you may know, the access roads up to the water tank, and there was a road that accessed the cottages and the old buildings that basically now is all wooded. Those areas have never really been looked at. So that's, you know, and I know from walking there that there's things that make you kind of scratch your head as to what is this pile of stuff. You know, it could be debris, it could be anything, but you know, so. I call this housekeeping issues that have to be explored, and you know, it's, for lack of a better word, I mean, who knows what it could be. So, but we'll see.
It's interesting because the cottages, I know there was a lot of asbestos in the cottages, I had heard.
Yeah, and that's I mean, well, that in itself is an interesting point, because I know the town has demolition records, and then there's also photographs by former staff that I've seen when some of the buildings came down, and the I'll say the late 80s, early 90s.
Mhm.
And the question, even though they said that things were hauled off site, in some cases, it's all of a sudden the building's there and then it's gone and then it's covered up. It's like, where did this stuff go? Was it, having worked for the state, I know that the common practice was you drop the building and the foundation, and then you make sure it's crushed down and you fill it with gravel and then you pave over it. That was standard operating procedure for state facilities. So, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see. They did run the ground penetrating radar and they said they didn't find anything. But then again, if that's the case, then that's fine. But it's still going to take a while because there's some areas they haven't looked at yet.
Yeah. Are they planning on at any point in time taking the buildings down, or is that
that's in the plans, but they've provided no timetables.
timetables?
The bottom line is the site is an attractive nuisance for people.
Mhm.
And if I know that there's been YouTube videos as recently as a year ago where
Yeah.
people have been inside the buildings.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I've seen some of the YouTube videos of people going in there, and I can see why, it's all exciting and whatnot, and there's supposed to be ghosts and whatnot in there, but
Yeah.
it would be nice to get the buildings down because it is definitely a safety issue, and I have concerns because of that.
Yeah.
But,
Yep.
all right, we have 4 more minutes. Liz, any comments about the Southwood or Buckley Man?
No, I just don't know if I'd ever want to read 600 pages on that.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Sounds
it's
like a-
really compelling
Sounds like
reading.
a horrible medical record.
Yeah.
Light reading.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's it's I mean the good thing about it is there's nothing that's unfamiliar. So that's not it. It's just being able to wrap your head around it and try and pinpoint things on the property and raising the question whether what they're showing, what they're concluding, is it legitimate or is it sort of we'll make a stretch on this. And again, the consultant's job on both on any of these properties containment sites is to work for their client, to work on their behalf. And having been in that position as well, you advocate for your client, and that's what they're doing.
Mhm.
So.
Okay, we have 2 more minutes before we start. See, Mr. Glossa is on the call already.
Everybody.
He looks all ready. We just have to wait a few more minutes.
Okay. No problem.
Hey, John,
Hi,
we just
Betsy.
how are you? We just got one more minute before we can start the hearing.
All right. Okay, I can wait.
I know. It'll be quick. I don't know. Does anybody have any other unanticipated business before we head into our hearing? Can't think of anything. Okay. We have, this is, say hi. This is Bean.
Is
He
this
wants
say
to join
Bean's
in.
joining us?
Yeah, Bean wants, well, he's been sitting here on my notebook. Oh,
Yeah.
yep, there he is. All right, we can get started now. Let me just get rid
Awesome.
of-
So a variance hearing from the Board of Health Regulations is called to order for 19 Mohegan Street. It is my duty to inform you that you will have to provide the Board of Health with data to support your request for a waiver of Board of Health requirements, and that if you do not receive the waiver, it will do you manifest injustice. You will also have to show that what you intend to do is environmentally acceptable. Mr. Glossa, it's all
Yeah,
yours.
for the record, my name is John Glossa, Clausa Engineering, 46 East Street in East Walpole. And I'm here representing Michael and Laura Ann Brown, who are the owners of the property at 19 Mohegan Street. So this is in the subdivision that's off of Fruit Street, where you'd find Pennacook and Massachusetts Ave and some other names, sort of Indian names. If you head up Fruit Street, before you get to the Medfield line, the last street in Norfolk on the left is Private Stillwell Ave. And if you took that left on down Private Stillwell Ave, Mohegan Street is the first left. And then this house, I think it's the third house on the right. My clients are in the process of selling the house. They actually have it sold. I've talked to the buyer. Matt and myself and a backhoe went out to the site to do the soil testing and sort of knew, in fact, I would think more than half of the systems we do in this subdivision end up in front of the board for the similar waiver from Title V. And that is that we started to dig down and found out that the water table was pretty high. Sometimes we're able to do the perk test in the B layer if there's 24 inches of B. So that's the layer that's not too deep under the ground. But here we didn't have enough soil in the B layer to meet the minimum requirements of Title V. So when we got into the C layer, there was water in the C layer. The soil was very damp. So we took sample in test pit 1, in test pit 2, and I brought those down to Filch Engineering. They're a Boston engineering firm, but their lab is in Cranston, Rhode Island. They're a big firm, and one of the things they do is testing of all sorts of different materials, but one of them is soils. So I always use them because they do a good job. So they came back with both samples being sandy loam. Sample number 1 is 63% sand and sample number 2 is 61% sand. So there's a lot of sand in this soil, but I believe it is sandy loam soil. That's how I had classified it. And I think Matt agreed with the classification. So in a case like that, according to the DEP policy for sandy loam, we're going to apply a long-term acceptance rate of 0.33, which essentially equates to a 30-minute perk rate. And that seems very reasonable compared to the soil that we saw. And actually, I would say the DEP policy, and I can certainly understand why, is rather conservative when it comes to these sort of midland soils. I'm going to guess if we were able to perk this soil, it would probably be closer to a 15-minute perk, but I guess I and you will never know that. So we put the design on the lot. We're abandoning the existing leach field, obviously. There's an existing 1,250 gallon septic tank, so that meets the requirements. The inspector had said that the tank is in good condition, so we're going to leave that. And we're going to, after that, put a pump in a 1,000 gallon pump chamber, and then we're going to pump the sewage from that up into a Presby leach bed. We found the water table here obviously to be very high. The soil mottling was only 1 foot below the ground, essentially on top of the B layer. So we have good separation to 2 feet separation to a very conservative, I think, view of the water table. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying we were very conservative. Both Matt and I agreed that that was the elevation of the water table. So we have a Presby system that is essentially 13.5 feet wide and 62 feet long. So it's 837 square feet. It has 5 leach lines at 60 feet long, and it's vented. It has minimum amount of cover over it. The reason we like that is because we want to get a lot of air in and around these leach lines. I guess the point is I feel it was correctly and conservatively designed. And so I think that it's going to be a system that's going to last the new buyers and subsequent buyers for a long time. So they have the house sold. So if you don't grant the waiver, I guess we'll be waiting for a long time before we can do a perk test there. And of course, we're meeting DEP policy with a conservative design. So I think it provides the same amount or better actually protection to the environment than a system if we waited until August or whatever and did a conventional system. So I don't think there's really any risk at all for the board to grant this waiver in Title V.
Thank you. Matt, your comments?
I think Mr. Glossa covered everything very, very well. Again, it's a very wet area of town, and certainly when we dug the test pits and hit the weeping, I think at 44 and 48 inches, it was not going to be possible to conduct the perk test. Just wanted to make a note, there were 2 minor revisions to the plan since it had been sent to the board, which we received, and I have no issues further with the plan or the proposed request for the variance.
Any comments from the board? Any questions? No.
I have none, but just a general comment. John, I think if you've driven that neighborhood, you've probably have seen every single septic system on Mohegan seems to be elevated. Is it? I mean, I guess is that the same? Have you done any other work there as well?
I've done at least a dozen and maybe even more systems in that neighborhood. In fact, I did the neighbor. You can see it, it's sort of diagonally across from the backyard for this one. This system is elevated. The finished grade over this system is, let's just call it 100, where we're on a 96.5 contour. So this is an elevated system. Both Matt and I identified along the lot line that there is, it looks like it's sort of how the lots drain down the hill off the back. So I intentionally kept it away from that to not block the drainage from coming off of the lots. But it is elevated. It's probably not elevated to the extent for some of the systems that you see up there, but that's because I can't tell you exactly when, but probably in Norfolk in the last 5 or 6 years, we've been Presby and Elgin came into approval by the DEP as alternative systems. And they have 2 feet of separation versus 4 feet for conventional system. And Mr. Domi wasn't a big fan of either ones, but Wade Saucier certainly was I wouldn't say a fan, but certainly someone who understood the advantages of them and allowed them without any issue. And now I think Matt allows them without any issue. Just tell you this, I've done systems with using infiltrator, low profile chambers. And a couple of those in the past years have failed prematurely. I've done a lot of Presby systems, not one of them probably over the last, ever since Presby's was approved by the DEP, which I'm going to guess 12 years or so. None of those have failed. So I think it's, and I don't sell these things, believe me, and we don't design them unless we have to, but I think it's something that's allowed reasonable repairs or upgrades to septic systems in difficult areas. So,
Okay, no, thank you, thank you. No, it's always, we have quite a few friends that live in that general area, and it's always interesting to see, who's getting an elevated system up there, and that's been one of the things I've noticed for a while. So it's
I think they're pretty much all elevated. I did the one on Stillwell Ave. I think it was number 3 or number 4. But because it's sloping ground, we were able to kind of go down below the house, and it's elevated, but then, the contractor grades it in so it doesn't look like it's elevated, if you know what I'm saying. But I think they're all elevated. The water table there is, if you dig down there and you discover the water table's at 24 inches, that's a deep water table for that neighborhood.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Do I have a motion to accept the variance for 19 Mohegan Street?
Sure. I'll make a motion to accept the variance for 19 Mohegan Street for the septic system replacement.
I'll second the motion.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Andy Bakunowski, aye.
Liz Gephardt, aye.
Cheryl Dunnington, aye. The motion's been accepted.
Great, thank you very much. It's nice seeing everybody again.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
John.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye, Matt. Bye, Betsy.
All right, good night.
Good
Good
night.
night, everyone.
So I think we've done the rest of the board meeting in between our variances. So it's mattered throughout. Is there any other unanticipated news or anything that we need to discuss? Nope. And our
No.
next meeting is for the 19th
Yep, which is a Monday,
and
so
a Monday. And anything else from anybody?
That's, I can stop by to sign that like Thursday or Friday.
yeah, Thursday. I'm not there on Fridays. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
anytime. No hurry. It's been since
right.
like
Yeah.
June, so
Oh,
I kind of just forgot to ask you guys to swing by to sign it. So thank you. Yeah, whenever you have a minute to swing on by.
okay.
All right. So
Okay,
do I have a
good.
motion to end the meeting?
Motion to adjourn for the evening.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Liz
Aye.
Gephardt, aye.
Cheryl Dunnington, I didn't put including discussion at this point. All right, so the meeting is adjourned at 7:43 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you, everybody. Have a
Yeah.
great night.
Good night.